Welcome to the Town of Babylon Zoning Board of Appeals. Please listen to the regulations and what we're going to be following this evening for our meeting.
Good evening, and welcome to tonight's meeting of the Town of Babylon Zoning Board of Appeals. The following is the procedure that will be followed tonight. The matters will be called in the order they appear on the calendar, with adjourned matters being called at the end of the regularly scheduled matters. Matters cannot be heard prior to their published scheduled time. When your matter is called, please submit the affidavit of posting to the secretary and proceed to the podium and give your name and address. The chairperson will then swear you in and read into the record information we have from your application, comments from various town departments, and any correspondence received on your application. The chairperson will then ask you to make whatever presentation you wish to make to the board. After you have made your presentation, the board will ask whatever questions the board deems appropriate, and then we will ask for comments from the public. If you wish to speak for or against an application, we ask that you wait until you're acknowledged, come forward, give us your name and address, tell us where your property is in relation to the property that's in question tonight, and then please direct your comments to the board, not the applicant or the applicant's representative. We have to keep a record, and we cannot do that if there are people talking over each other or cross conversations. If someone has spoken for or against an application, and they have said exactly the same thing that you wish to say, it will have the same force and effect in the record if you give your name and address, are sworn in, and say that you join in those comments. If you have anything additional to say, please don't hesitate to do so, but keep in mind that you will be given only one opportunity to speak. After the public has spoken, the board may ask the applicant to come back to answer any questions that may have come up as a result of the public comments, or for the applicant to summarize. When the applicant comes back to answer any additional questions, if that happens, that does not start a second round of public comments. Once the matter has been heard, various things may occur. The board may decide the application immediately. It may reserve decision. If the board reserves decision, that does not mean the matter is approved or denied. It just means that the board needs more time to decide, may want to go out and look at the site again, or might want to review the documents and testimony further before making a decision. In either event, the applicant will receive the board's decision in writing shortly after the board makes its decision. If the application is approved, that does not mean that you can then go ahead and start construction or whatever it is that you requested from the board. You will have to wait for the building permit to be obtained from the building department before your go-ahead. On some occasions, the matter may be continued for another night. If it is continued, in most cases it will be for the submission of documents, a new survey, new plans, or something of that nature. If that's the case, no one needs to come back on the new date. The documents will be submitted and no further testimony will be taken. On rare occasions, a matter may be continued for future testimony. If that's the case, then people would have to come back to testify. If matters are adjourned at an open meeting on the scheduled date of hearing, no further notice need be given unless specifically required by the board on the date the adjournment is granted. 3 rules that may affect your ability to proceed tonight. 1. If the sign was not posted for 10 days, we cannot hold the hearing tonight. 2. If you commence this proceeding while you own the property, but no longer own the property, and you are here now to continue with the application, you will need either the written consent of the new owner or the new owner to be present for the hearing. This situation could come about if you sold your house or building, money was held in escrow at closing for a certificate of occupancy or permit, and you're here tonight to clear that up. Lastly, if your application is a commercial application and it's other than a renewal and there is more than one tenant in the building, then you need your landlord to be here. Is there any applicant that has any difficulty with those situations and would need an adjournment tonight?
Is there anyone here tonight that would need an adjournment? For the record thereon, please join the board in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under First application, number 22-162 for Maynor and Lillian Chirinos. Can I have your name and address for the record, please?
Francia Hadassah, 18 Beach Street, Moynditch, New York, 11798.
Do you affirm to tell the truth?
Yes.
Okay, well, for the record, we have a planning board memo dated October 4th, 2022. We have a Department of Environmental Control memo dated October 4th, 2022, stating that the result of this application will have no significant environmental impact. We have a survey by Ferrantello Land Surveys dated 11/5/2021, and a tax map as an area map. And
we have 4 photographs.
what would you like to tell us about this application?
Yes. The owner, he just wants to do an exterior renovation of the siding and roofing, and as well as an extension on the first floor in the back, and adding 3 dormers on the second floor, and a portico at the main entrance. And the portico, it's going to be trespassing the actual, what it is right now. It would be asking to reduce the front yard from 30 feet to 27.5 feet, as well as reducing, there is an existing paver patio in the back, which it's not to code, so it would be from, we want to reduce it. That's pretty much it. And I know that we submitted it, and we had objections because of the patio and the portico, but we are asking for a variance on it.
Okay, I'll turn the hearing over to Mr. Shepherd.
Do you plan, how are you? Do you plan on putting a second kitchen in here?
No.
There's no plans for a second or an accessory apartment?
Oh, the accessory apartment, no. That it's why it's also called out as a recreation area, that it's just for the family if it extends. I mean, it's an existing area, and we just want to, the owner wants to just use it as an extension for the family.
Okay, and did you state that you're going to remove the patio completely?
It would be reduced.
It'll be what?
Reduced.
Reduced in which way?
From the property line.
So moved over 2 feet off the property line?
Yes.
Thank you. I have no further questions, Mr. Chairman.
Any other questions from the board? Do we need to omit this second variance if they're willing to? So you're willing to cut back the patio 2 feet from the property line, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so I make a motion that we omit variance number 2.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Good. Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to approve application 22-162
As amended.
as amended.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next application, Sharon and Dennis Singh, 22-161. Name and address for the record, please.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Christina Bravin, Morano Expediting, 2938 Hempstead Turnpike, Levittown.
You affirm to tell the truth.
Yes, I do.
For the record, we have a Planning Division memo dated October 4th, 2022. We have a previous approval from 2003 from the Town of Board. We have a Department of Environmental Control memorandum stating that the result of this application will have no significant environmental impact. We also have a survey by BBV Surveyors, Engineers, dated January 14th, 2022, and a tax map as an area map. And
Mr. Chairman, we have 4 photographs on the site plan by Alexis Spiro.
what would you like to tell us about this application?
Okay, we're requesting permission this evening to construct a rear sunroom holding a rear yard setback of 5.55 feet instead of the required 20 feet. And also requesting permission to maintain an existing shed that holds 0.9 feet setback off of the rear yard instead of the required 2 feet. The property is extremely irregular in shape. If you note the overview right there, it tapers significantly as you enter the rear yard. The house at one point holds 6.94 feet, so we are only requesting an additional 5.59 feet, setback relief off the rear yard for the closest point of this proposed sunroom. It's non-heated, and if the board looks favorably upon the application, the owner would accept a covenant and restrict it to never convert the space into habitable space. The shed was built in 2008, shortly after our client took over this property, and it was to replace a metal shed that was there in the same location. It was dilapidated, and because of the square footage, they called the town just to make sure it didn't require a permit, but they didn't cover the exact setback requirement, and it's only touching the 0.9 feet at one point of the shed. The other side of the shed does meet the setback of 4 feet on the northeast corner. If you have any questions, I have a full set of plans on the sunroom. I'm happy to answer.
Turn the hearing over to Mr. Rigney.
So again, your client agrees to not heat the sunroom.
Yes, correct, and we'd accept that as a restriction.
Okay, and if the shed was ever in disrepair, would it be relocated to a conforming location?
Yes, we would do that as well.
Okay. Mr. Chairman, I got no further questions.
Any questions from the board? Would anybody like to be heard on this application? For the record, they're on none. Okay, Nick.
Chairman, I make a motion that we approve application 22-161 with the conditions that the sunroom not be heated, and if the shed was ever in disrepair, be put in a conforming location.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Application 22-166, JNBM Incorporated, Tenant Triangle Properties.
Good evening, Chairman, members of the board, Ms. Green. My name is Janice Whalen. I represent the applicant, JNBN Incorporated. We're here seeking a renewal of a special exception originally granted in 2010 to the predecessors in interest to Mr. Arlo, Mr. Gramellini, and Mr. Nicoletti. I think I've appeared on every application that's come before this board seeking a renewal. I'm very happy to report this business is still doing very well in the town of Babylon. I understand that the commissioner issued a memorandum dated October 6th indicating that the premises was neat and clean. Parking has never been an issue because we have sleepies and a bank, and it's all off hours that each tenant operates. I apologize that Mr. Yaffe from Triangle Properties couldn't be here. He's appeared with me on every time we've sought an extension, but tonight he had another commitment. But he did write a letter in support. I understand the fire marshal has visited the property in August, and there's never been a problem to my knowledge.
I didn't do that. Sorry about that. For the record, we have a Planning Division memo, October 6th, dated October 6th, 2022. Department of Environmental Control memorandum, dated October 6th, 2022, stating that the result of this application will have no significant impact. We have a fire marshal's report, also dated, let's see where this is dated, October 13, 2022, has a valid fire prevention permit. Suffolk County Planning Development, stating this is a matter of local determination if approved or disapproved. We also have, which is really difficult to read.
I believe you have the original plans that were prepared in 2010.
Let me see if I can read this. It's pretty tight. I wrote it up here. Nigro Associates. It's,
I believe that's a site plan
3109, the site plan.
and a drainage plan.
Yep, and then we have a survey here by Savlik and Murray,
Correct.
dated 10/19/2010. And
We
a tax map as
installed-
an area map.
We installed a new sanitary system when the predecessors in interest to this business came on in 2010.
And 7 photographs.
Okay, thank you. Well, everything's operating the same way as it was.
Exact same way, same hours of operation. As a matter of fact, I have the original affidavit of posting in the pictures. Shall I?
Yes, you could submit that. Okay. I really have no further questions on this application. Is there any questions from the board? Would anyone like to be heard on this application? For the record, there are none. Alrighty. I'll make a motion to approve application 22-166 for a period of 3 years.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
How did I forget that? Okay. Application 22-167, James T. Sullivan. Name and address for the record, please.
Good evening. James T. Sullivan, 728 Peter Paul Drive, West Islip, New York, 11795.
And you affirm to tell the truth?
Yes, I do.
For the record, we have a Planning Division memorandum dated October 6, 2022. We have an Environmental Control Memorandum dated October 6, 2022, stating that the result of this application will have no significant environmental impact. We have a Suffolk County Department of Planning stating that this is a matter of local determination, whether approved or disapproved. We have a survey by Jack Allison Hall dated March 11th, 1983, and the tax map as an area map.
And we have 5 photographs and a site plan by George Badger and Charles Lembo, dated January 2022.
What would you like to tell us about this application?
Well, we've been there for 35 years. Parking has never been a problem. The 2 tenants that are there right now require very little parking. And when we first bought the building, there was parking in the front that the state took over when they widened the highway. And they still left us the parking in the front. However, somebody came back a few years later and put in a crosswalk right in the middle of it. So that eliminated those 2 spots.
Okay, I'll turn the hearing over to Mr. Rigney.
Okay, so is this building occupied as we speak?
It is occupied. There's 2 tenants.
Okay, what do they do? What are the tenants doing? What is their hours of
One is an
operation?
upholstery shop, and the other one is sort of a junk collector.
What interior alteration, what do you plan on doing on the inside?
On the inside, I have to just change the bathrooms over to handicap bathrooms.
Both businesses are going to stay there? There's not going to be any change in business? Both tenants are staying, or are they leaving?
As far as I'm concerned, they're staying.
Okay.
They haven't made me aware of anything else.
There's a dumpster and a pop-up tent in the parking area.
They can be taken down.
All right, that has to go.
Mhm.
Okay. You agree to take all that out of there and clean that up?
Yeah, well, I can take the tent can come down,
Yeah.
and I can have the dumpster removed, but I need a dumpster, so I'll have them put in a smaller one, which we'll leave up against the wall.
Okay. Yeah,
I
that
need some kind of
that-
dumpster.
Yeah, no, you need a dumpster for sure, but the tent is, that's got to
The tent can come down.
Okay. And you agree that this will always be a two stores, both tents will always be retail,
Yes,
that's going to stay?
yes.
Okay,
No more subdivisions on a unit? No
No.
more subdivisions?
just those 2?
There had always been 3, so they're cutting me back to 2 now. There had always been 3 tenants in there. Myself in the back, and then the 2 spaces in the front were retail.
And how long has that been?
35 years.
The whole time? 3, okay.
All parking spaces is enough?
For them it is. The upholstery shop, it's only him, and the other guy's very rarely ever there. He just uses it for storage. He stores stuff, and occasionally people will stop by and take a look at what he has.
And yourself, what do you do?
I'm retired.
Or you just?
We closed up because of COVID. I had a catering business, and COVID put us out of business.
So that's 4 spaces right there, is it not?
Well, the way it works is the guy in the front is going to take off the second half of the front, and the guy in the back is going to take over the second half of the back as soon as I can get the bathrooms done.
Okay, so In other words, you're moving out, and you're
I'm
going to
already
just...
moved out.
Right, and you're just going to do the 2 new bathrooms, with the
And they're
handicap
gonna take
bathroom, and you're going to have only 2 tenants, excluding yourself now?
Right.
Okay. Any other questions? Any other questions from the board? Would anyone like to be heard on this application? For the record, there are none. Okay, Nick?
All right, Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion that we approve application 22-167 with the conditions that there be 2 retail tenants only and no subdivisions of these units.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Application 22-169, McDonald's Corporation, North Babylon Associates, property owner. I got a bunch of stuff here. Okay. We got plenty. Okay, can I have your name and address for the record, please?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. Keith Brown, Brown Altman DeLeo, 538 Broad Hollow Road, Suite 301 West, Melville, New York, 11747.
And do you affirm to tell the truth?
I'm a member of the bar. Yes.
For the record, I have a planning memorandum dated October 4th, 2022. I have a Department of Environmental Control memorandum dated October 11th, 2022, with some recommendations. We have a site plan by Bowler dated 22/24/22, a survey by Alter NSP Land Survey, Title Survey, dated 20/15/2022, and it also has drainage and parking and drainage here, also from Alter Land Title Survey dated 2/15/2022, and a tax map as an area map.
And Mr. Chairman, we have 8 photographs.
Okay, what would you like to tell us about this application?
Sure. I just wanted to add to that list of exhibits, what I passed up to you in addition was the Town of Babylon Planning Board approval for this project, as well as the Babylon Town Board approval for this project. You indicated you already had the site plan, and this, we also have sign plans, which are the subject of tonight's application. So with that, good evening, Mr. Chairman and honorable members of the board. I'm appearing tonight on behalf of the applicant McDonald's Corporation for these 2 applications, 22-168 and 169. Respectfully request that the board permit me to present the applications for the requested area and sign variances together as they both pertain to the property located at 1255 Deer Park Avenue, North Babylon, New York. As a matter of housekeeping, the public notice postings were performed in accordance with the town code, and proof of same have been submitted to the Town Zoning Board of Appeals. With me tonight, we have Mr. Matthew Tyler, to my immediate left, of Bowler, the project engineer, as well as Mr. Ethan Chikoski in the front row, of Atlantic Traffic and Design, the traffic safety expert. Both of our experts are available to answer any questions that the board may have. Just in terms of the history of the site, I'd like to clarify for the record and bring to the board's attention, we did contact the planning department, but the one memo for the sign applications indicates 4 menu boards on almost the last paragraph, like the 3rd paragraph down from the bottom. It's actually 2 menu boards and 2 pre-browse boards. So we called them, they said it wasn't that big of a deal. The notice for the case is accurate. It's actually less relief, not more, so.
Okay, so we're okay with that?
And I see,
No amendments needed or anything to that effect?
I see the counsel to the board nodding her head back there.
Okay, I just have to, you're going to, We're going to hear both applications at the same time here.
If that's okay with you, it's easier.
Okay, then just let me read into the record, application number 22-168, McDonald's Corporation, North Babylon Associates. It's a Planning Division memorandum, Department Environmental Control memorandum dated October 11th, 2022, with recommendations. We have a memorandum here stating that from the fire marshal on October 13th, 2022, that you have a valid fire permit. And we also have Economic Development and Planning, Suffolk County, stating that this is a matter of local determination, whether it's approved or disapproved. And we have the same surveys and site plans as previous application 22-169 to be read into the record. Thank you.
And 4 photographs.
Okay, so by way of background, the McDonald's restaurant is an existing 93-seat, 2,660 square foot fast food pad site within the EA, that's Elephant Apple Business District, located on the south of Weeks Road and east of Deer Park Avenue, also known as New York State Route 231. The McDonald's currently provides for 25 parking stalls, including 2 ADA accessible stalls. The drive-through operates counterclockwise around all sides of the building. This McDonald's has been in existence at this site for the past 26 years. Just for the record, I'm sure you're familiar with the site, but abutting the property to the north is the Express Market to Go convenience store. North of the property, across Weeks Road, is a Speedway. Further north along Deer Park Avenue is a CVS, Firestone, Sky Stores, Tire Shop, Parkway Car Store. All the above properties are located with the EA Business District, as it is a central business and commercial area. Abutting to the south is a Taco Bell fast food restaurant. Further along Deer Park Avenue is a shopping center. Continuing further south is the BP gas station, et cetera, et cetera. You get the idea. To the west is the Panera Bread, followed by other commercial uses. To the east is the extra storage space facility. The storage facility is located in the GA Light Industrial District. To the northeast, across and along Weeks Road, a residential property is located within the SC Senior Citizen Multi-Residential District and the C Residence District. Accordingly, the immediate surrounding area is comprised of predominantly commercial uses along Deer Park Avenue. Further on is some residential and senior citizen multi-residential uses located along Weeks Road. On January 10th of this year, the Babylon Town Planning Board approved our application to renovate the existing restaurant to add a side-by-side drive-through along with the associated site improvements that are relatively minor in nature. A copy of that planning board approval has been submitted as Exhibit 1. On March 16th of this year, the town board then approved our application to repeal a covenant restriction that dated back from 1953, which prohibited the placement of structures within 65 feet of Deer Park Avenue. A copy of that town board approval has been submitted as Exhibit 2. As shown on the site plan prepared by Bowler, the existing single-lane drive-through will be converted into a double-lane side-by-side drive-through with 2 ordering points. A copy of that site plan has been submitted. In addition, the building will also be modified with a minor bump out to allow for the addition of a second pay window. The addition of a second pay window is essential for the efficient operation of the new side-by-side drive-through configuration. We also submitted a letter prepared by Atlantic Traffic and Design, which concluded that proposed renovations will be, quote, more efficient than the traditional drive-through with 1 menu board and a pay window and a pickup window. This results in reduced wait times for customers in periods of peak demand and reduced drive-through queues, end quote. A copy of the letter has been submitted as Exhibit 4. So tonight, the applicant requests the following area variances in connection with the redevelopment of the property: to permit a front yard setback of 56.1 feet, where a minimum of 60 feet is required under Town Code Section 213-141. And we're also requesting a few sign variances. They are 2 in nature: to permit a total of 6 ground signs, where a maximum of 1 ground sign is permitted pursuant to Town Code Section 213-402 sub A sub 1. And just the way the Town Code is written, to permit a flagpole as a sign with a height of 35 feet, where a maximum height of 15 feet is permitted under Town Code Section 213-402 sub B. I think that's more a vagary of the code. I've seen other codes that have treated things such as statues also as signs, but I've never actually seen where a town treated a flag pole as a sign. So I just wanted to point that out. We submit that the requested area variance is largely a function of the lot configuration. As previously mentioned, a side-by-side drive-through configuration requires a minor addition to the building that allows for the second pay window. And given the size of the bump out, the building now crosses into the front yard setback by a mere 3.9 feet. Accordingly, the requested front yard setback is de minimis, will have no impact on the neighboring properties or the surrounding commercial area. In light of the significant benefits provided by the utilization of the side-by-side drive-through, the board should see fit to grant the requested area variance. As shown on the site plan prepared by Bowler and submitted as Exhibit 5, the following ground signs are proposed at the property. 1 is the flagpole, 2 are the 2 menu boards, and 3 is the 2 pre-browse boards. So in addition to the newly proposed signs, there's currently 1 pylon sign existing to remain, will be untouched and therefore grandfathered under the code. The requested variance relief to permit the total of 6 monument signs is necessary given that the drive-through configuration provides for 2 separate ordering points. Basically, as customers order from each lane, both lanes require the same set of menu boards and pre-browse boards. The proposed signage is essential for ensuring the fast and efficient ordering process, which reduces the queuing to the north of the building. And I'm sure you've seen these side-by-side drive-throughs elsewhere, not only in the town, but also in Suffolk County. The menu boards are set back 37.1 feet and 50.5 feet from Deer Park Avenue. The pre-browse boards are set back 52.3 feet and 65.9 feet from Deer Park Avenue. Both sets of boards will face away from the adjacent roadway, with the menu boards facing northeast and the pre-browse boards facing north. Thus, the proposed signage will not be a distraction to motorists traveling along Deer Park Avenue. Upon information and belief, the flagpole is treated as a ground sign solely because of the code, as I indicated before. The sign variance for the height of the flagpole is also mitigated by the fact that the proposed flagpole is being treated as a traditional sign for the purpose of a sign permit denial. At 1510 Deer Park Avenue, we point out that approximately 1 mile north of the property, there is a McDonald's restaurant with a flagpole. A Freedom of Information request was submitted to determine the height of the flagpole, but the results have yet to be provided. So based, however, on Google Maps Street View, the flagpole at 1510 Deer Park Avenue appears to be higher than the nearby utility poles. A copy of the Google Maps Street View image was submitted as Exhibit 6. So at this time, I would like to ask Matthew Tyler, followed by Mr. Shikoski, to come and discuss these improvements to the site. Unless the board just wants to take questions for me or for them, we could just expedite the application accordingly. It's pretty straightforward.
Turn the hearing over to Mr. Shepherd then.
So just to get clear, in real short term here, you were putting in 2 lanes, the what do you call them?
Pre-browse
boards, 1
Correct.
for each. Then the 2 ordering, menu boards.
Correct.
The front, the big M out in the front, I'm surmising, right? The McDonald's.
The big M is not being touched.
That's one of them, yes.
Right, that is included
Right.
as one of them, right.
And the flagpole.
Right. That's a total of 6, correct.
Okay, and that's it.
And obviously, the pre-browse boards are so that when they get up to the menu board, they have an opportunity to look at the menu, so they kind of know what they want to order at that point. So it helps move the queue along.
I have no further questions, Mr. Chairman.
Any other questions from the board? For the record, there are none. Would anyone like to be heard on this application? For the record, there are none. Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make an application, I'll make an application, I'll make motion. Trying to imitate this guy over here, I apologize. A motion to approve application 22-169 for a period of 5 years and approve application 22168.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Thank
Have a
you.
wonderful evening. Thank you. Good night, Pam.
What did I say? What did I say? An applicant, I was applicating an application.
Okay. Application 22160, the loss of Gail Grace LLC.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. For the record, Nicole Blanda. I'm an attorney at Bazell, Blanda, and Visconti with offices at 535 Broad Hollow Road in Melville.
Do you affirm to tell the truth?
Yes?
I have, for the record, I have a Planning Division memorandum dated October 5th, 2022. Department of Environmental Control memorandum dated October 11th, 2022, stating that we need a negative declaration and other recommendations. And I have a survey packet here from A.M. Sutton dated 6/23/20 with a site plan, a survey, utilities, drainage, lighting, and elevations. Complete package here. And as an area map.
Mr. Chairman, we have 5 photographs.
What would you like to tell us about this application?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. I'm here tonight on behalf of the applicant. We're seeking a density variance for a mixed-use building within the downtown Copiague zoning district. This property is located on a prominent corner in the downtown Copiague district on the northeast corner of Great Neck Road and Marconi. It has a lot area of 10,126 square feet. It formerly was a taxi stand and has a history of mixed use on this site. It's a blighted property, kind of dilapidated, so definitely in need of a redevelopment and an upgrade. Immediately to the east of this site is the Copiague Post Office. To the south, across Marconi, is Veterans Memorial Plaza and a municipal lot. And then to the south of that is the LIRR. So this is very, very close to the train station and really fits in with the transit-oriented design of the downtown Copiague area. In June, we had our planning board hearing for site plan approval, and we obtained the site plan approval on September 12th of this year. The applicant did work closely with all of the departments, mostly with planning, to develop this site plan and to develop the type of housing offered in this building. So there's retail on the first floor, and then we're proposing 13 studio apartments. Normally, we don't see, at least in my experience, I haven't seen many studio apartments being proposed, but they are perfect for a downtown area because they do lend themselves to single occupancy and less cars, obviously less density within the apartments themselves. And these are true studios. If you look at the floor plans, they're open floor plans. There's no bedroom. It's a bed niche, they call it, and so it's like a dedicated area, but obviously it's up to the tenant ultimately where they want their bed to be in the actual unit. But originally the denial that we received a year ago was for having 2 entrances. The density didn't come up during the design of this project, so then recently we got the denial saying we needed the density variance, just so the board kind of has an idea of the history. So we're proposing a 3-story building with the retail on the first floor. The retail is proposed to be a bagel shop, some kind of coffee shop, something that would really lend itself to the downtown. 13 studio apartments in total, which would be on the 2nd and 3rd floors, and also a small gym for the residents. The first floor has the 1,390 square foot restaurant, as well as the apartment lobby area. There'll be 2 points of entry into the apartment building, one on Great Neck Road and one in the rear of the building. Entry to the restaurant itself would be on Marconi and Great Neck Road. On the 2nd floor, we're proposing 6 studio apartments and the gym. The gym is 500 square feet. The studios range from 661 to 1,069 square feet. That's the largest unit at the end cap. And I just want to point out, there's only 2 units out of these 13 that are at that square footage, at the 1,069 square footage. The rest of them average around 650, which is, normal for a studio apartment. Again, it's open floor plan. Each one is a true studio. We're providing 13 spaces on site, which meets the parking requirements. Plus, as part of the site plan approval, the applicant agreed to purchase 13 parking permits annually to be in the municipal lot. So basically, we're providing 26 spaces. So the 13 parking permits will each be assigned to the 13 studio apartments, so they'll be linked to the tenancy. So we definitely have a surplus of parking there. There's also parking on street and obviously in the municipal lots, whereas there's 2-hour parking, there's 15-minute parking, and we presume that's what would be used for the bagel store / coffee shop on the first floor. Cameron Engineering did the traffic review for the planning department, and we had our own traffic study done as well for the parking. And so again, we believe that we have more than enough parking. So we're just here tonight seeking to be allowed to have 13 units instead of the permitted 8. This is not out of line with other density variances that we've gotten in the greater area in regular multi-res zones. There is a recent approval for Pinello Estates, which albeit is not in the downtown Copiague area, but it is in the hamlet of Copiague on Montauk. And Mr. Pinello received a density variance increase from 10 units to 21. And I'm sure the board is aware of other multi-res projects where density variances have been given. I'll leave the board with just a quote from the planning memo. The redevelopment of this property is important to the continued growth and revitalization of the downtown Copiague. The proposed use conforms to the objectives of the Copiague Vision Plan. So we're really looking to put something quite beautiful here. I do believe I had given the renderings to the board. I think you have those. If not, I'm happy to hand them up. But they're really looking to do something special on this corner, and I know it's something that was supported by the town. So if you have any questions, obviously I'm here. I'm just going to hand these up just to kind of give you an idea of what the end product would look like. There's 2 vantage points, one from Marconi and one from Great Neck Road. So you can see the kind of like a 3D image rendering.
Very nice. Okay, Nicole? Anything else you wanted to add? or-
If the board has any questions, I'm happy to answer them. Otherwise, if there are people here with questions, I can come back up and answer those as well.
Okay, I'm going to turn the hearing over to Mr. Dellavecchia.
So there's 13 parking spots on the site itself? And
Yes.
how many off-site parking spots are there?
There's 13 on the site itself, and then we are, by covenant and restriction, we're obligated annually to purchase 13 parking permits in the commuter lots. And so the town has told me that on an annual basis, it's sort of like handing out a license, I guess, and it'll have to go with a license plate number, and so be registered to the vehicle. So the best way to do that, or the easiest way to follow it and track it, would be to have it linked to the specific tenant for each unit. So not only will each of the 13 units have its own parking permit, there's also 13 spaces on site.
Yeah, that was one of my questions. Is it going to be the same footprint, basically, as the building there now, somewhat, like from the property line, from the street?
In terms of setbacks, you mean? It's similar in terms of it's cropped towards the corner. So like if you look at the aerial photo, you see that the taxi stand is obviously smaller.
Yeah.
So our building will extend down Great Neck Road.
Yeah,
So
more north.
right, it will be deeper, but it'll be similar in, I guess, width to what you see there, and it will be on that corner.
There's no setback variances
No.
requested anyway. It's
Correct.
conforming according to the plans.
To the downtown Copiague, correct.
And then my next question would be, what is the typical, like, smallest size unit of a studio, like, in general?
In general,
Like, I know in, like, New York City, you can get, like, a shoebox would be a studio apartment.
right,
You know?
right. Pursuant to the code, we have to be within certain parameters. So here, I believe we're on average 650. I think some of them are 725, 750. The
I
largest,
think the smallest is 500.
right? The gym is 500 square feet, and then I believe,
3F as well.
yes. So I would say on average, it's somewhere between that, between the 500 and the 750 for a studio. But by code, we did what the minimum is and made sure we were above that.
I have no further questions.
Any other questions from the board? Would anyone like to be heard on this application? Okay, please step up.
Hi, good
Can I have your
evening.
name and address for the record, please?
Hi, my name is Susan Frontera, and I'm at 515 Scudder Avenue in Copiague.
You affirm to tell the truth?
Yes, I do.
Okay, what would you like to tell us about this application?
Well, I would like to say that where is the traffic going? Copiague has really, born and raised here, okay? Copiague is becoming Queens. There's got to be a stop to these apartments. There must be. You can't get down Great Neck Road. Now you're adding another 13 cars that are going to be up and down Great Neck Road. You got the apartment building down by Railroad Avenue that you can't get out of Great Neck Road. It is ridiculous. You can't widen Great Neck Road, and now you're putting apartments there. Where is the traffic going? All right? And my taxes keep going up. Why do my taxes keep going up when these apartment buildings are going up? My taxes should go down because they're paying taxes. That's 13 single people, if that's what's going to wind up being in there. And look at what you're doing to Copiague. You got the one that you can't even see, the one next to Wendy's on Great Neck Road. You can't make that turn because you can't see. There's going to be a major accident over there. All right? You got the well in Lindenhurst. Now you got Brunswick Hospital, and we're going to put 13 studio apartments on Great Neck Road? It's insanity. It's just getting ridiculous. You know, I talk about it with my neighbors. Everybody is upset about it, and nobody else came tonight. But I had to voice my opinion, because you know what? You sit there and you say, look at what Copiague is turning into, and nobody is doing anything about it. I 100% do not think that this should go on. And you know what's going to eventually happen? All of those migrants that are in New York are going to get on the Long Island Railroad, and they're going to come out to Long Island. That's what's going to happen. Now, is it a Section 8? I didn't hear the beginning of it. Is it Section 8 apartments?
We'll ask and we'll get that addressed for
All
you.
right, Section 8, which means that they're, I don't want to use the word indigent, but they're lower income. What about us that are the middle income, that now have to pay so much? It's not your fault. I don't want to go into politics, but everything is going up. Everything. I can't even sell my house and go and find an apartment that's going to cost me less than $3,200 a month. I'm sorry. I had to
That's
voice my
okay.
opinion.
That's okay.
Do you have
That's what
anything
we're here
to say?
for.
Yeah,
Go
I
ahead.
do.
Your name
My
and
name-
address for the record, please?
Oh, I'm sorry.
My name is John Frontera. I'm her husband.
Your address, sir.
515 Scudder Avenue, Copiague, New York.
You affirm to tell the truth?
I do.
Okay.
I look at what's going on in my neighborhood, and my house borders Scudder on one side and Victoria on the other. Now, I know that zoned, and unless it's changed, I could be wrong, was zoned light commercial, but I've got tractor trailers pulling up behind my house. If you measure the road is a lot smaller on this Victoria Avenue than it is Scudder. Yet, there's one business there that just constantly has tractor trailers. They destroy the property. I've got two
This is
bent.
not pertaining to this application, no, correct?
Well, I'm going to get to that. So,
Okay, thank you.
so I'll tie that in and I'll wrap it right up.
Okay, thank you.
We're putting the cart before the horse here. We're putting hundreds of apartments around Long Island, but we're not improving the infrastructure and the roads. The roads are terrible. It's like driving on the moon. And the more people that come in here, the more the schools need new classrooms and bilingual teachers. Who pays for that? That's us. And I thank you for giving us the opportunity to speak out.
Thank you for coming out.
Please consider that when you consider the neighborhood. I look around, and never was there 4-story buildings. And now It's inherent on almost all the apartments. They want to do 3 and 4 stories.
3 stories, right?
3 stories. And now
Okay.
we're turning into the minority in this.
Well, that makes no difference, but it does change the quality of life for us. I can't get out my back driveway when the trucks are there.
You could call and you could put a complaint into the town about those trucks, you know, about the traffic
I
there.
plan on doing that. I did take pictures of property
You
destructions.
could go right onto the website and there's an express of concern, and you could email the town of Babylon about that complaint.
If the infrastructure was different and supported it, it'd be a whole different ballgame. But it is turning into Queens. Thank you for your time.
Thank
I
you.
know earlier this year, we just repaved a whole bunch of roads off of Marconi Boulevard.
Not the back roads by us. And when we first
Okay,
complained.
we can't have a cross conversation here. Okay, so would anybody else like to be heard on this application? Please step up. Name and address for the record, please.
My name is Thomas Colello from 304 Ferndale Court, Copiague.
Okay, and you affirm to tell the truth.
Yes, I do, sir.
What would you like to tell us?
Well, I'd just like to say about the traffic situation it's pretty bad over there. I mean, even you go down there and you're sitting there for 15, 20 minutes waiting for the light to change, and it's just too many buildings. There's too many apartment buildings. They built the one on Merrick Road right down by on Hawkins and Merrick Road. There's one by Brunswick, like she said, and it's just too much. There's too many people. The schools are getting crowded. They're you know, now at Duville there's east and west, and there's buses on both sides of the school. It's out of hand, and somebody's going to get hurt. There's accidents every day on Great Neck Road. And what about a fire? What happens if somebody gets hurt and an ambulance has to get there? They're not going to get through the traffic. It'd be nice to have a restaurant. I like that idea, you know. Pick up the neighborhood. Don't put apartments everywhere. Put them in another town. You know, we have enough apartments in Suffolk County. I mean, look at Patchogue. I mean, they got apartments all over the place.
Okay. Anything else, sir?
No, that's about it.
Okay, well, thank you very much.
I voice my opinion.
Yep, that's it.
That's it. Would anyone like to, please step up, sir.
Good evening.
Name and address for the record, please.
William Rodriguez, 66 William Street in Copiague.
You affirm
I'm
to
also
tell-
here representing my mother. She lives at 735 Dante Avenue.
And you affirm to tell the truth.
Yes.
Okay, what would you
All
like
right,
to say?
I'm somewhat familiar with that property. My father used to own a coffee shop in the early 2000s. So I'm very familiar with the parking. I also used to work in Manhattan for 15 years. I really don't see how they're gonna fit that parking there. And I understand that they're gonna get parking from the railroad, but in my experience, in the 15 years that I was taking the train out of there, that parking lot is always full. Because people from out of town come to that area to park. At least it was when I was still going to the city. As for the parking in the building, as you can see, it's a relatively small building as it is now. Once they make this new building, it's gonna be much larger. Back then, there was never enough parking, never. I mean, I can get people here that, obviously, I posted on Facebook to people to show up and nobody showed up, just us. But I can get people that can vouch to me that there was never parking when my father had that coffee shop there. I don't see how that's gonna change now to the better. And then another point is to that, the building, I think she said that was a southeast corner. So the northwest corner, they built a building there, 3-story building, which you can't see there. It's a 3-story building with commercial property at the bottom, and they have, I believe it's 7 parking spaces and 2 handicaps. All those people are already parking either in the street or in the municipal parking. I have to say that at least once I go by there every day, because my mother, as I said, she lives at 735 Dante, and I live at 66 William Street. So I visit my mother every day. To go from 66 William Street to 735 Dante Street at 6 o'clock in the afternoon, it takes you 15 minutes. I could walk there faster than that. Traffic is a nightmare, as everybody has said. And to be honest, like everybody else says here, I don't see how they can fit parking for that amount of people. Let's say that they have one car, each person. But we all know that, you know, once you get married and stuff, you need 2 cars in Long Island. They're gonna have 2 cars there all the time. And as I mentioned before, the parking lot for the Copiague Railroad Station is always full. And then you have, like everybody else says, there's down the road on Mcdonald Boulevard, there's another apartment complex, which is also full all the time. So they're also using the municipal parking. Across the street on, I think that's Railroad Avenue, there's another apartment complex there that's also using the railroad parking. So my point is, they say they're gonna use parking from the railroad, but the railroad is already over limit. It's always been over limit. They're not gonna have those extra spaces. They might apply for the permits, but it's first come, first serve, and they're not gonna get them. And then, also going back to the traffic, if you look at any reports, or police reports and everything, I will have to say that at least once every week or every 2 weeks, there's an accident in that immediate area because of the amount of traffic. You know, you don't have to listen to me. You can just look up the police reports, and I'm sure you'll find it. I understand that a building has to replace that's there, and you know, you can't put a house there because it's commercial property. I understand that. But I think a building with 13 studios, it's a little much. Maybe that we're trying to do again what happened down by Merrick Road and that road that goes down to Tenant Park? Bailey. That they built that building, and I guess they were planning on buying property, private property behind that to put parking, and they didn't get it. Now there's no parking for that building. You know, maybe that's what's going to happen here also. You know, just before you make any decisions, you know, look into the property, look into the area. Just take a ride into the town during rush hour, 6 o'clock, 12 in the afternoon, any day of the week, and you'll see that what I'm saying or we are saying is true. You know, I apologize to them. I don't want to be.
You're stating your opinion.
You know, I know that they bought the building. They're going to renovate it, and thank God they do because it looks like crap. But just let's be more conscious of what's going up in the town. You know, I was born and raised here. My father's, well, my deceased father was here since the early '60s, and my mother as well. And I lived here my whole life, and it's getting bad. And every day that passes, it just seems to be getting worse because obviously there's more property, commercial property down that Marconi Boulevard, and it's only a matter of time before that gets sold and more apartments go up there. You know, so when you consider these apartments, make sure that they have enough parking in their property, and consider the extra traffic in the town. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much.
Can I say something else?
Nope, one time. Anyone else like to be heard on this application? For the record, there are none. Nicole?
So with reference to the other apartment project that's on, I believe that's the southwest corner, that's 1800 Great Neck Road. I represented the applicant at the time. That was Rush Development, LLC. That project was done back in 2017. Mr. Murkowski was the principal of that LLC. He had a mixture of apartments, 2 bedrooms, 1 bedrooms, retail on the first floor. And what they did in that instance, the resident is right. He doesn't have all the parking he needs on his site. What they did was they used shared parking, and he has a parking agreement with another site 2 doors down that he owns with apartments that had a surplus. So what they did was they had him do an easement/parking agreement where they share parking. And so some of the tenants for 1800 Great Neck Road might very well park 2 doors down and then walk to their unit, because that's how the downtown is ostensibly supposed to work. But that was a planning board approval, and it talks about that parking from back in 2017, which I'll give to the board. I also have the Mulryan Engineering parking and traffic study, as well as the Cameron Engineering parking and traffic study that was done on behalf of the town, and the planning board site plan approval from this year. So the reason why they went with studios, they sort of, I guess you could say, the planning and the applicant kind of backed out of the numbers. So they looked at what would be required for parking, doubled it, so we actually are providing 2 spaces per unit, because like I said, the parking permits have to be assigned. You pay money for them on an annual basis, and then there's signage that says where these designated spots are, or that you have to have a permit to park in this area. So I would be surprised if the town was going to oversell parking permits, because if you're the person who purchased it and it's linked to your license, I would imagine you'd be very upset if you had no place to park. So I'm sure I could get my hands on how they operate that, but at the end of the day, they're purchasing 13 a year, and there's 13 spaces on our site plan, which means we're providing 26 spaces for the site.
And the municipal parking is by permit only. No one could come out from an outside source or another town.
Certain areas.
And park there?
There's certain designated areas that are for permitted parking. And then there's on-street parking, there's other municipal lots on different streets that have, I guess, different hourly, there's certain restrictions.
Is the tenant subjected to buy these permits, or is the landlord providing the tenant?
The landlord provides it. The landlord is obligated to pay.
And you're going to secure these permits?
Are they secured already? Are they?
We don't have all of our approvals yet, so no, we haven't gone through a parking permit process.
Your intention is to to secure these permits?
He's required to, yes. It's in, I'm going to give you the planning board site plan approval, and it talks about it right in there.
Now, what about parking for the retail store?
It's all, so presumably during the day, people go to work, and when the coffee shop is being utilized during those hours, it's different, it kind of balances out. So people who might run in for a bagel or a coffee can park in a municipal lot or on street, or if the tenants aren't in their spaces all day, I can't imagine all 13 spaces are going to be occupied all day long. So the in and out of a coffee shop makes sense with a residential component.
Will there be any other retail space in that lower?
No.
Just the coffee shop and the gym?
Well, the gym is for the residents.
Right.
So it actually
So it's
takes
a
up space.
private gym.
Oh, yeah, private. Mm-hmm.
Technically, the parking spaces on the property are going to be labeled, so hypothetically, I shouldn't park in someone's spot, right? Like it would say Unit 1 parking, so if I'm coming to get a...
Designated?
Are they designating the parking spots, or is it just going to be open parking?
I believe on the site itself, it's open parking. The idea of then having the parking permits for each tenant is to assure each tenant that they have a place to park.
Whether it's on the site or off the site?
Correct.
Okay.
It gives them an option, but they always know at the end of the day they have a place.
How are you going to prevent other people from going in? Is it going to be gated, or?
I don't know if we went with gates. I don't think they allow that. The problem is in the downtown Copiague zone, they don't allow for,
So
like
if I'm
the,
driving down Little Great Neck Road and I see, oh, look, there's parking over there, what's going to stop me?
right. That's a good question. I'll ask the planning department how they plan on, what we could offer in terms of securing the site for parking.
Because it's a premium, and it's going to
Yeah.
have to be addressed with, 13 tenants, retail.
Where would the employees park of the retail?
On site. I mean, they'd be asked to park either on site or, again, in a municipal lot.
And that's more of a first come, first serve.
That would be a first come, first serve, yeah. I'm just going to hand these documents up so I don't forget.
Okay. Okay, anything else, Nicole?
No, there is a 20% affordable housing component, but it's not Section 8. It's the standard Town of Babylon required affordable housing, which basically they have you work with the Long Island Housing Partnership to find the median income. So 3 of the units would be designated as at a lower rental rate.
Any questions, any other questions from the board? Would anyone else like to be heard on this application? For the record, there are none. We're going to reserve this decision, hold the decision, further investigation and further discussion with the board. Okay?
Thank you.
Thank
Have
you
a great
very
night.
much. Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for coming down. I appreciate it.
Take all your gas into consideration.
I'm not muting you guys, not me. Have a good night. Okay, thank you. Good night. Hold on. Go ahead. I got you.
Members of the board, Pamela Green, Office of the Town Attorney. Thank you for such an expeditiously run meeting this evening, Mr. Vice Chairman. Well done. Was there anything the board wished to revisit before we move on to the other applications?
Basically approved everything excepting for the Gale Grace. I think we should hold the Gale Grace.
I understand. Moving on then to the next item, it's Roll Right Towing. We are still waiting to have that brought in for a requested variance for their signs. Finally, moving on to application 21-237 of Patterson Brothers, heard on January 27th. You will note in your correspondence packet, there's a memo from Tim Bessemer advising that the site inspection was conducted. They are operating in accordance with the site plan. The inspection went well. The board may move this application.
Where was this?
It is in East Farmingdale.
We need to hold it for Mickey, or we could approve it? Okay, I make a motion. We approve application, where was this one? 21-237.
Second.
All in favor? Is it for,
It's a renewal of a special exception.
okay, for a period of 3 years?
Thank you. Good to close that one out from January. Moving on to 22-083, Joanne McGinnis. The applicant still needs to cut back the awning, and she is still asking for more time to do so. Moving on to application 22-072, Central Irrigation Supply. Ms. Riley advises that new plans were received that are acceptable to the planning department, and this application may now be moved.
Get a motion to approve application 22-072 for a period of 1 year.
Second.
All in favor?
Thank you. Moving on to Oscar Madero, 22-129, that needs to be re-advertised, and it really should be removed from the agenda. Moving on to 22-144, the application is Craig Simak. It's located at 2 Marlin Drive in Copiague. So there had been some inter-office communication with the Highway Department regarding the board's question of whether or not a second curb cut in proximity to the existing corner and stop sign would create any type of a disadvantage for the traffic flow of the stop sign. Highway did not believe that it would, that it is a low-trafficked area. New plans were received with the planning department that now lowered the garage height to 7 feet, so they are no longer asking for 8-foot garage doors. However, they are still asking for their garage to be oversized at 625 square feet, and that is usually an item that the board has been resistant to approve. So I will defer to Mr. Delavecchia and the board for their consideration of this application.
They won't move it down to 500?
Move your micro.
They won't cut it back. Well, if they want to move, cut it back to 500.
So you're asking to have them,
Yeah. To have it cut back to 500.
the size of the garage?
Yep.
Okay. Mr. Delavecchio's concern is that they should reduce the square footage of the garage. So we'll hold that.
Thank you. Moving on to 22-138, BOLA operating. I believe there's still discussions ongoing regarding the signs, correct? Okay. Moving on to 22-130, Stanley Gilpen. As per council, the applicant is working with the architect on a new house plan as the board had requested. They will have it plotted on the survey, but they do need some time to do all that. Moving on to application 22-156. Thank you, Mr. Shepherd, for raising the issue with the two front doors, which was quite helpful, as we are now trying to work with the applicant to confirm the installation of the two front doors and have them come into compliance to either request a variance for same or remove the second front door and replace it with the window that had previously been there. So we thank you for your attention to that. Anything to add, Ms. Riley? Thank you. Moving on to 22-159, Kenneth D'Abramo. Suffolk County Planning Memo has been received on this. It's item number 3 in the board's correspondence. However, the request is to increase the height of the accessory building from 14 to 21. The board was very clear, suggesting to the applicant that they needed to go back to the drawing board and consider coming in with a plan that met code. And we can just reiterate that that is the board's holding,
Yeah,
if
we're
you
gonna
wish.
Continue that. That's quite high, 21 feet.
Thank you. Moving on to 22-153, Daniel Russo. This application is in Amity Harbor. So you will note in your correspondence packet that there has been a Suffolk County planning memo received. However, there's also correspondence from the applicant requesting the board to be sympathetic to the variance request regarding the request to raise the height to 31.187. Council did reach out to Mr. Buzel to advise that the board has been consistent in not granting height variances, especially since post-Sandy, pointing out that that had prior approval for this residence predated Hurricane Sandy. So the board has been consistent in upholding that new policy. So I will let the board either review the correspondence.
I understand his concerns with his handicap and everything, but I can't see why they cannot put the elevator in with and lower the height of the structure, because the height of the structure is going to be above the foundation. So the foundation is going to remain the same. You can keep that the same so that the elevator can go into the base, and he could still have the elevation with the elevator. Still lower the height of the building.
Technically, it's 39 feet because of the 8-foot foundation.
Exactly. That's what I'm trying. That's the point I'm trying to make.
But was he trying to say it was based off of materials that were already purchased? It would be a financial...
No, that it was
That
already
it was
approved
a
back in
financial burden
2011.
because of time. He said because of the amount of time it's going to take to submit new architectural plans. But I think we should hold firm to the height of the residence.
Can't set a precedence.
Otherwise, we're gonna end up doing this over and over again.
I'll make council aware of the board's position.
Thank you.
Thank you. Moving on to your final page of the agenda is your correspondence page. Your first item is a letter from the village clerk of the Village of Babylon advising the board that there is a proposed mixed-use development that's been submitted to their board for approval by Roman Development located at 612 Muncie Avenue. That's the property's applicant's address. If the board would like to review that application, it's asterisked on the Babylon Zoning Board agenda. Second is a memo from Tim Bessemer regarding Patterson Brothers. The third is the Suffolk County Planning Memo for Kenneth D'Abramo. Fourth is the Suffolk County Planning Memo for Daniel. And finally is the last email from Daniel Russo asking the board to be sympathetic to the variance. With that, we can move to accepting the minutes of September 22nd, but please just note that at that meeting, Mr. Correcchia, Mr. Rigney, and Mr. Pardo were not present at that meeting. So if we can please have some of the other members who were present on the 22nd to move the minutes.
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes of September 22nd, 2022.
Second?
Thank you.
All in favor?
Aye.
For your perusal are the minutes of September 29th. And with that, your meeting is adjourned.